belt-worthy, heavyweight belt-worthy character, or is this just something that's going to be like the big exhibition matches, the big...
Yeah, for me, I feel like he's over enough as it is. I don't think he really needs a belt on him. Yeah, people will say it's a shame that he's not getting his opportunity to hold belts, but he's doing something completely different from everyone else, and not actually having the belt is actually probably what's making people feel bad for the guy, and actually that's maybe what's drawn him in and thinking, let's pray that this character's going to work out for him because he deserves this. And with that kind of vision that he's had, just to come off with this kind of character out the top of his head, that's incredible. That's just, I mean, they pay writers like loads of money to come up with this stuff, and they're not doing a better job. So let's give Bray his time.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I'm going to give this. I give this 3.5 in terms of the match that we got. But yeah, it was really good. The entrance. I liked the post-exit music as well. The little thing they did there at the end was pretty cool. Where it just went black and then he went out. But it's pretty good. And I'm just glad they've not tampered with his in-ring stuff, like with the graphics and that just would have been like, imagine, I was kind of half expecting, are they going to do what they've done with, who's the cruiserweight guy who wasn't really him? When Triple H signed him and the lights were always down, he used to have the trampoline and jump over the top rope.
Oh, was Sin Cara?
Sin Cara. You remember the lights were toned down in his matches? I was like, oh, please don't do that in this. Yeah. Thankfully, they didn't. And I think that's going to be helpful for him going forward. And it'll be interesting to see what he does with his character, if he'll be like the other Bray Wyatt that we see on the Firefly, and whether he like has dialogues with that on Raw with some of the people and then goes in as that character in the match will be pretty cool, I think. So there's lots to do there with him, so it's quite exciting for Bray now, which, gotta be honest with you, Matt, start of the year, not a lot going for this guy, and he's managed to
thought we could have been over it
reinvent there, again. But I don't want to say either way. I want him to do well, obviously, but I don't want to get my hopes up too much because I know what WWE are like. And they're all for it now, but then a couple of months down the line, they're not. So hopefully somebody there's backing him. What do you give Star Wars, Mark?
I think I'd have to agree. I think match quality-wise was about 3, but then the actual impact and getting the message across that it was supposed to was about a 4. So I feel like it's one of those moments that perhaps a lot of newer fans to WWE will remember. It's like one of those moments where Kane came in and ripped the cage door off at Hell in a Cell, and then you was like, that's the debut of this guy. Yeah. I feel like people got that hint, and this new kind of entrance he has is going to stick in people's minds.
Yeah, it's really watched at the minute on YouTube. It's like massive at the moment on that clip. So yeah, you definitely know where people are looking. Okay. So this draws us now, Matt, to the final match of the night, the WWE Universal Championship match. Seth Rollins, there was a backstage segment where he was basically booed quite badly by the Canadian fans. And I thought, this is worse than I thought. And then Brett comes in. I think that was done intentionally there, Matt, to give him his blessing for the match. But still, when Seth come out there, it was a bit like we don't want him. We don't want him. I think the segments have been terrible. Whoever's been writing his stuff the last few weeks, it's come across as whiny on that bloody mic. Like, is this really what I want to do? Brock went in, the Universal Champion. Of course, he cashed it in a while ago. I've got to throw it out there. It was a different outcome than I thought they were going to do. I think it's just a match they should have had at WrestleMania, quite frankly, easily. But Brock, I mean, there were some great moments in this match. I mean, there's that sight where Brock picked him up from the wrap round his waist for his ribs or whatever, like just yanking around like a kid. He's no small guy, Seth Rollins. It was just crazy. And yeah, I mean, I know people say that comment about Brock's lazy and all this, like, that's rubbish, man. I mean, come on, look how much he was doing there. And yeah, I think they told a very interesting story, but because they were selling Seth Rollins' injury so much, that's probably what made me think they're not doing it tonight. But they did end up doing it. Matt, what did you make of the match itself and the story that was told? And is it enough of it? This is like one of the few times, Matt, where Brock's actually lost clean, like proper clean, where there's not sort of that where it was too fast at WrestleMania and he was caught off guard type thing. It wasn't. This time, it seemed like they were trying to go all out to try and put Seth over as the guy. Have they done a successful job, and are fans now going to react to Seth differently, or are we going to go back on Raws the next few weeks and it's going to be the same? I mean, what do you take away?
I'm very shocked. Because for me, in my mind, it's the only time in my recent memory that I can remember Brock losing clean. I mean, there's always been an out, there's always been a low blow or a distraction from outside or something. Always something that could be argued was the reason why Brock would lose. But there's no excuse on this. So it's almost like Seth has got 100% of this momentum that Brock was carrying. And maybe that's what WWE wants. Maybe they think Seth is the guy to sort of be the face of the company. But, you know, he's dedicated enough, that's for sure. But the fan reaction, just like we said just now, when they weren't into him before the match started. I mean, yeah, you can turn the crowd to your favour during the match, but to actually be the face of the company, you need to have that support all the time, 100%. I mean, John Cena, he didn't have that, and perhaps he was the face of the company, but he had enough of that, you know, the passion was there intensely, and I'm not sure it's there with Seth. It's almost arguable to the point that Roman gets the stronger reaction, whether it's good or bad, you know, he still has that stronger reaction. I'm not saying I want things to go back that way with Roman on top, and it was probably good for him that he wasn't part of the SummerSlam card, and we're talking about it now even though we shouldn't be. I'll change back to Seth here because let's give Seth his due. He's on top and he deserves it. Yeah, but a good match. And we've said before, Brock does have a preference for smaller guys, perhaps. He seems to give back a little bit more to them, and he seemed to actually want to work well for Seth and sell for him quite a bit. So, you know, I felt like they had a pretty decent match for what they could. The only downside I will say is, though, that with that injury that he was selling, man, Seth may be passionate, but is he stupid? I mean, it used to be called the architect, have a game plan and everything. What's his game plan? I've got injured ribs, let's do loads of frog splashes. That's going to work.
Yeah, no logic as usual in that one. No, I'm with you. I mean, this is what we've been crying out for, I guess. You know, you can't moan when WWE finally do the clean finish. But yeah, I do fear for Seth because I don't know what's going to come up for him in the future. I mean, it's all about having good opponents and guys to feud with. But I don't know. I don't know who that next guy's coming from. I mean, other than... They're not going to do Brock again. I can see Brock taking some time here before they bring him back to get him freshened up again. But it does go to show you, Matt, that I think Heyman, since taking over, probably thought because there was a big U-turn on that Money in the Bank, because Money in the Bank was a bit of a gimmick for a little bit for Brock. And then when Heyman come in with the new role, he won the belt, and then it was almost like you can tell he planned he was going to have that match with SummerSlam, and that was his way of sort of saying Seth is our guy, we're going to put him over properly. And maybe Brock needed to be the champion and Seth needed to win it back rather than Seth just defending it. Makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I mean, in terms of the match, I mean, I actually really enjoyed this match. I thought it had like a big match feel through most of it, and I certainly didn't expect the ending. They threw me off guard, and the way Brock was acting, like, I was just like, this is another one of those times. Like, Brock just keeps countering every last drop with something. So, yeah, I think I'll give this 3.5 easy. It's would be close not to give it to a 4, but it's not. I don't think it was quite as good as Finn Balor and Brock, but it's not far off it. And the ending was good. Hopefully, this is good news for Seth Rollins. I mean, just hopefully someone's writing better for him at least. What do you give it as far as ratings go?
Yeah, you know, I don't want to have to agree with a lot of what you say, but it's true, isn't it? 3.5 from me. Yeah, I feel like there was potential for it to be slightly better. It's almost like the injury angle kind of held it back a little bit. If we could have just said that Seth was out there giving it full speed and he was 100%, and it was both men at 100% going at it, then you'd feel like the win was a little bit more... it's hard to say because, like, you're supposed to feel sorry for him, like he's the underdog because he's injured. But I feel like when two men are at 100%, you find out who the real better man is. Yeah,
absolutely. So, overall show, Matt, what did you make of SummerSlam this year?
Better than I thought. You know, I was coming into this and I was quite like, oh, you know, here's another match that I'm not looking forward to. And I had about 2 that I was excited for. But at the end of it, you know, even if they weren't like ones that I wanted to see, they were decent. You know, they weren't that disappointing. I mean, we've reviewed many things where we were like, oh god, here we go, another 1 star, another 2 star, and I mean, yeah, some of them were 2 or 2.5s, but
these quite high ratings. Really,
yeah,
I think,
but overall, yeah, we've enjoyed a majority of them. Even the pre-show matches, I will say, are above average. You know, so and for pre-show matches, they don't really put much time into it, but they actually seemed like they cared this time around for them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this was a good show, and part of the reason that is because I remember last year's went on forever. It was when Finn Balor even fought Baron Corbin as the Demon. You remember that? It just went on forever and ever and ever. I think it does help. Shorter pay-per-views, 3.5 hours. I'd prefer it at 3, but 3.5 is right. I mean, that is about right. You don't want to keep going. Well, there are some matches on there that probably we didn't really need to see, but I think they just had them there because they wanted to use them. But I think it does make a big difference, the length of time of the pay-per-view, because I think fans just get tired out, man. I mean, it can go on forever. So, yeah, overall, good show. The night before, obviously, we had NXT TakeOver, Matt. Always shockingly comes out incredibly better than what I even thought it was going to. I did say that I felt, or we both was kind of saying, like, you know, have they still got enough? Proving us wrong again, Matt, because, you know, it's a great tag team match. I mean, Triple Threat was brilliant. It's just the women's match really shocked me. You know, not the title one, the other one. I mean, it was just like so good. And yeah, the 2 out of 3. I mean, some of those things like not again, but they still managed to do something. I mean, there is this thing going around. I know that was it? Yeah, DX1 said, you know, oh, here we go. It's how many false finishes are we going to get before it comes on? Because he feels like those matches only get high praise because of the false finishes, which I do agree there are a lot, but don't take away the amount of effort that they put in. And I feel like I liked the story they told about getting like the DQ first to get the upmanship and the whole cage business. I mean, it was really well played out. And overall, NXT TakeOver was just like, man, that's if you got friends out there that are not really into wrestling, but they kind of want to get there, or you don't want to be afraid of showing them something, that's another good advert, I think, to get people back in. So they just did a really, really good job, Matt. What did you make of the NXT TakeOver? Just summarising, but
yeah, you know, for me, great. I don't think there was like any matches on that card that were sort of lower than 4 stars, and that's incredible, isn't it? I mean, just to have that consistency and to make matches work like that, and still getting over new people. And yeah, I'll pick out that match as well, the Io Shirai and Candice LeRae. I thought that was incredible, you know, and you know, just to go from a face to a heel and just be as good in both roles. You know, she's working some great work out there. And yeah, the Triple Threat, incredible again as well. And one of those things that I love is that there was none of those moments where someone's outside the ring for 5 minutes taking a nap, you know, whilst the other two do all the work. No, they were in there, you know, they were mixing it up all the time, and had some real original ideas in that, so I enjoyed that. And yeah, the end, again, you know, 2 out of 3 falls. What can you say? You know, they did it before, but they who would have thought they could have improved upon their previous one? But they did. So everything, all a win all around. That was, you know.
Yeah, they're knocking it out of the park big time. Just some news now. Then some sad news. Really, we didn't talk about this on the podcast last time, but want to give it a mention now. Obviously, the passing of legendary wrestler and Hall of Famer Harley Race, who passed away early this month, actually on the 1st of August. Yeah, you know, he'd been suffering quite a bit from cancer nonetheless. Found out a little bit later that obviously Vince had been paying a lot of his treatments, Matt, which was kind of a nice touch, and like it wasn't like a big, like, I've done it kind of thing. It sort of come out afterwards. And yeah, I feel like I know a lot of our listeners, maybe, you know, a little bit younger listeners, probably don't really know Harley that well. I mean, if you're just a WWE fan, you didn't really see much of Harley at all in that role of a wrestler. He had like a big match with a Haku once, which was almost like the baddest of the baddest outside of the ring against each other, which is something to go back on. But I think in WWE, that wasn't really his stance. NWA is where you got to go back to. 100% one of the most legit tough guys outside of the ring. Definitely carried a lot of respect wherever he went. He gets a lot of high praise, you know, from a lot of guys as well. And yeah, it was a bit of a shame because like towards the